It's fun.
Hello, everyone. We are live for Febregency Sprints. If you're here, say hello. Yeah, I can see that some people are here. So we're really excited to read today. You do not have to be reading a Febregency book in order to just hang out and read with us today. But, I think a lot of us are reading Regency era books. So if we want to just go around and I think probably everyone knows everyone on the stream, but in case you don't, just introduce yourself and let us know what you're reading today. Do you want to start, Tristan? Sorry.
You know what's happened to me.
On the spot.
Maybe I should start with Stephanie. We'll work my way the other way around.
That's fine.
So for everyone, that's just, yes. I was just telling them that
I'm sorry.
It's been mayhem this month. My life is falling to pieces. My house is upside down, not literally, obviously. And I had something by, was it William Godwin, was it? Who I'd never read before, but I can't find the book. I'd saved it for this. So I may just crack open Tom Jones by Henry Fielding.
There you go.
Or have a quick look on my bookshelf and my Regency area.
Sorry, Tristan. I just was going in order on my screen, and then I was like, wait, that was probably not nice. I'm sorry.
I'm reading the newspaper for the back of it.
Reading the signs of the times.
Such a bully.
I know. I'm so sorry. Anyways, hi, Mimi. And Victoria's here. And Penny.
Hey.
And Alyssa. Nice to see everyone. Christy, you want to go next?
Sure. I think there might be a delay. And also, my internet today isn't really working, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But there is no video that's going to be happening, I don't think. So, but my channel is Christy Lewis Dostoevsky in Space, even though for some reason StreamYard, my comments are coming up in on my Korean channel. I don't know why.
I noticed that.
It's chaos.
Right here.
It's chaos.
Chaos.
That was not the plan. But anyways, today I'm going to be reading as much introductory material as I can about Castle Rackrent because I read that already this month, and I got to the end and I was like, I don't even know what I just read. So I'm reading. I don't normally read all the introductory material, but I'm doing that for this one. So that's what I'll be reading today.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Hey, Rich.
Hello.
Hey, Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Rich just read Frankenstein, so he participated
Nice.
in Febregency.
Yes, we're very excited.
So Rich.
But I know he's in the throes of Anathem right now for our Anathem read along, which I haven't started yet, but that's okay. Stephanie, what are you reading today?
Hello. I am reading The Italian by Anne Radcliffe. I'm about 40% of the way in. It's getting quite thrilling, and I'm enjoying it very much.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll probably be my primary read because I need to get caught up to you and Dia.
Yeah, we've been doing one volume a week. I'm almost done with volume 2. So I have The Italian here, and then if I feel like I'm getting too far ahead in that, I haven't started Ivanhoe yet. So I brought that as well. So those are my choices for today.
They're good
Penny
choices.
has a question for Tristan.
Oh, yes, Penny. Right. I have seen your message come up in the in various videos. I think I couldn't quite find it, but I think it might be in the 10 Murder Mysteries one. I think that's where it is. Because, yeah, others made comments about it there being, it should have been in the top 10 and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's where it is. Hope that helps. I've just picked up, actually. Forget Tom Jones and Henry Fielding. I think I might go and grab The Italian again. So
Oh,
sounds really good. I'll join you with that one.
Yes.
fun. I feel influential.
Unofficial group read.
Yeah. I think Dia will be here at some point, so we'll have plenty of people reading The Italian on this stream. And Radcliffe is well represented today.
Love it.
So Victoria said she's reading the last few pages of a nonfiction. I think she mentioned that on Patreon. Can't remember what it was called. I can look really quick though. But oh yeah. Oh, I like your cover.
Nice gothic window.
Stephanie and I accidentally match completely.
Yeah.
Like we did not plan that.
Yes, I would feel left out, except Christy's not even reading the same book. So
oh no. Dia's reading it with us, and she also has the Oxford World Classic, but hers has a different piece of artwork on the front.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny.
She's got an older edition.
Yeah. It's interesting.
collector's edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't you do it.
Don't you do it.
Go on.
Aw.
He was going for a chord. It's
Tristan is wonderful. His channel is great.
You're all wonderful. Honestly. You're the only guys I've ever hung out with on the YouTube section. I've occasionally in the past reached out to others, but they didn't like me. No. They just didn't respond. So I'm grateful that you have me here with you.
Yeah, no, we're happy to have you here today. Especially when your life's been crazy. We appreciate you making the time to hang out with us today.
Yes.
Yes.
What time is it where you are, Tristan? I'm just curious.
It's 6:10 in the evening.
Okay. All right.
And for anyone who is put off by the slant on the picture behind, it's a weird frame, and I cannot center it because where the center is still blocked.
It makes you feel better. I didn't notice till you pointed it out.
I didn't either.
My laptop a bit.
It fits the vibe of today. The chaotic, like what is even happening today? Emily's here. Hi. Tell us what you're reading today, Emily. Oh, goodness.
Hi,
You're
Emily.
reading some good stuff. Has anyone finished anything for Febregency yet? Just curious.
I have
You have. What have you
I
finished?
have to.
Castle Rackrent, and also
Oh yeah, you said that already.
I'm really excited though about the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. That was so good. I'm way more excited about that one because I was like, I understand this one, and I loved it.
Nice.
It's a good one.
Cool. That's on my list to actually read soon again.
Ooh, yes.
I suppose mine's not technically what I've read. It's not technically Febregency, but there's a link to it. So I've just finished rereading the Iliad. Because of course the classics were big in the Regency, and I've been looking up some, and he's from the early 18s, so the 18 noughties, commentary on the Iliad. So I suppose I've been doing some Febregency in that.
Nice.
Yeah, I've read the Cenci, which I quite enjoyed.
Oh yeah,
I read that last year, I think, right?
That was on my TBR last year, but I didn't get to it. Maybe I should pick it up this year.
Well, you did for some reason. I don't know why I thought that.
Oh, maybe I did, and it was just that forgettable. I don't know.
I thought you read it for We Love Jenny.
I don't think you would forget it.
Yeah.
It's got some pretty heavy graphic stuff in it.
Sounds like a good time. Just
Yeah,
like
I mean, I read it in one sitting. It was nice. After reading the 1300 book that will not be named. It's fine.
Oh, my
that
Kindle
we're all tired of talking about.
Yeah.
My Kindle does say that it was read, so maybe I did read it. But actually, now that you mention it, I did. I remember it
I
now.
thought that you did.
Yeah, I completely forgot. I guess I didn't. I liked it at the time, but I guess it wasn't that memorable.
Oh, Dia's here. Hi, Dia.
That's my daughter's name.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Poppy.
Oh, I thought you meant Dia.
Not Dia.
They're both pretty names.
Right.
Oh, Penny finished the Sicilian Romance, so more Anne Radcliffe.
I need to get back to Clarissa. I got kind of tired of the back and forth of the same stuff for 200 pages.
Yeah.
But I really want to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I need to go back to it because, yeah, it just got a bit long, and I think I took it in chunks, and some of the chunks were a bit too far apart, so it's felt like starting afresh.
Yeah.
So I can't really remember much, but if you find links to Clarissa or similarities, it's because Clarissa was such a dominant influence on literature at that time. Massive. So Clarissa, Tristram Shandy, Tom Jones, those three were your biggies for influencing the novel going into the Regency period.
I did read Tristram Shandy in college, and that one was fun.
It was. That's a brilliantly funny book.
Yeah.
A bit odd, but
It's so funny, though.
I haven't read it yet, but I do own it, which is the story of my life. I own it, but I haven't read it yet.
yeah, that's all of us.
Yeah, we all have a problem, and it's okay.
Yeah, I've been trying to count my physical TBR lately, like how many books I own that I haven't read, and I'm like, this is embarrassing.
Being on YouTube or BookTube doesn't help, does it? Because you're thinking, oh, that could be a good book. People might be interested in that as opposed to what I'm reading, so I'll get it. And I just hope there's no fire in my house.
Oh my god.
Because it will go up really quick.
I think the qualification for a home library is like 1,000 books or something like that. And we have my husband is a pastor, and so this is not even counting his pastoral library. Between my daughter and I, we have over 2,000 books. Nice. So I'm like, we've got a library in our house.
Wow.
It'll feel official,
but I pick them up secondhand. Like if I find something used, I'm like, yes. So like I've paid full price for barely any of them. So I'm a bargain hunter.
My favorite bookshop's just closed down. Frank's Books. It was basically an industrial unit full to the brim of books, and they were all 50 pence. But he's just closed down.
That's so sad.
I'm so depressed. I got so many books from there.
We'll be your support, Tristan, in your time of need.
That's right.
That sounds very depressing. I would cry.
That's where I got my William Godwin from.
Awful. And you can't go get another copy now, so.
No. Yeah, thanks, Tiffany.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bully.
I really am today. I'm sorry.
I love your bookshelves, Stephanie.
Do what?
I love your bookshelves.
Oh, thank you.
I want ones like those.
Thanks.
I'm hoping one day to transform the garage into a library.
Yeah, it takes time. Just one little shelf at a time.
Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, stacks of books on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Emily's not reading right now. Taking down Christmas decorations. No judgment. Sometimes I keep mine up a long time, like when it's like really gloomy in the winter, because it's like you've got like the twinkle lights and stuff, and so it actually makes my house feel cozier. So I've left them up into February before.
2025 is the year of choosing joy and resting. It's fine.
Yes.
Just tell visitors you grow indoor plants.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for the air.
So the Sentimental Journey book that Dia read is the same author as Tristram Shandy. That's interesting.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah, it's the European
cool.
tour, isn't it? The Sentimental Journey, I think. Does he do the European tour? In that, can't remember.
Emily noticed your straight hair too, Stephanie.
Thank you.
That's your voice, but not the hair. And Dia's dog's name is Poppy Seed, so I bet that's not Tristan's daughter's name. It's probably not Poppy Seed.
But my surname is Teed.
Poppy Seed. Really close.
I never thought of that when we named
That's
her.
really cute.
That is cute.
So that was an accident.
That's
And
adorable.
then my boy Tiger, his middle name's Oscar Franklin. That was nothing to do with me. My wife did that. I wasn't there. But when the mail comes now, it's middle names only have initials. So we get letters Tiger of Teed. Makes me feel very regal.
I love that.
And then I was nearly called Garen by my dad, which made me guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
I'm pleased my mum was there.
That took me a minute to get that, but I love it. Oh my
That's awesome.
gosh. I'm glad Victoria is amused as well. She's laughing a lot too. Hi, Anna Marie.
It's all
Good
about
to
having a
see
giggle.
you. Let us know what you're reading.
Yeah. You
All
could all
right.
drop it in the comments, just single book title.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, are we ready for our first sprints?
Definitely.
I usually do like 30 minutes, but I can do a different time if 30 minutes doesn't work for you guys. So just let me know what you think.
I think
Yay.
before we did 15, didn't we?
15.
Or 20, yeah.
I can do 15.
Whatever. I'll go with the. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Whatever works for you is totally fine for me.
Tell you what, you do 30, and I'll try and distract you for 15.
You're gonna be like in the chat, be like, "Oh, how's it going? How's your reading going?"
I just find a lot of sound effects and play them.
Oh,
Anarchy. I sense it.
yeah.
No, you
So
know,
are you fine with 30 minutes, Trista, or would you rather do 20? 20 is fine with me. That's what you want to do.
Well, the only reason I say 20 is because I don't know if you're like it. Maybe it's because I talk too much. It's only because as you come across lines and stuff, I love sharing them and finding out what everyone else has got if they've got like. Do you remember Oliver Goldsmith, Christy?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to stop every 2 minutes. Like, listen to this.
Yeah.
Let's
I'll
do
do whatever.
20. Let's do 20, and then you don't have to hold it in as long.
Yes.
The difference between 15 and 30. We'll do 20.
Okay.
All right. So let me.
Oh, I'm about to do Ovid as well, Victoria and Dia. I've got it. So, which Ovid are you doing? Is that Metamorphosis?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Let's sprint. See you in 20 minutes with a whole bunch of quotes.
Yeah. I'm going to mute myself.
Happy reading, everyone. Welcome back. It has been 20 minutes. How is everyone's reading?
Good.
The introductory material got really dull, so I switched. I read quite a lot of it the other night, and I thought it was interesting, but I think I read what I needed to read.
So what did you switch to?
The Question of Canon.
Oh, okay.
I would just start The Antiquary by Sir Walter Scott because Dia recommended that, and I really wanted to read another Sir Walter Scott. However, I just this morning, when I was up and couldn't sleep, started your Patreon book, Tiffany. And so I want to finish that one first so I don't get them muddled in my head.
Yeah. Perfect. I missed that Chrissy was here before we went on our sprints. I think she came on right before we went on. And then who else came on? Lindsay. Lindsay's here too.
Hello.
About to start Sense and Sensibility. That's the
Nice.
one thing I finished so far. So, oh, I need to turn this banner off. There we go. Oh.
I was on mute.
Oh, no.
Perfect. Are you
It's
cold, Chrissy?
cold. Yeah. I went and got it in mid-sprint. I was like, no, it's too cold back here. The fire is in the other room, so yeah, it gets chilly back here.
Nice.
Whereabouts are you in the Italian then, Tiffany and Stephanie?
I am just a couple of pages of being done with volume 2.
Oh.
So I'm on page 242 out of 393. So
Yeah, I'm halfway through volume 2, so I'm 170.
yeah.
Getting there.
Has part 2 been better, Tiffany?
Yes.
Oh, good.
It was towards the end of part 1 that it really started picking up for me. That I was like, oh, okay. But I was kind of in a reading slump when I started it. So I was kind of struggling with it at first. And then something happens that made it more exciting. And then from then on, I've been like, ooh. And the drama just keeps unfolding. I really like the drama that Anne Radcliffe introduces.
Yes.
Yay.
Oh,
Similar to oh, well done. Similar to Walter Scott in that respect. His startings of books. Wow, he likes to describe, doesn't he? I don't mind long description, but he takes. There's a good word in chapter 1. Umbrageous.
Umbrageous. That is a good word.
I like it.
Means to be filled with shade. To
Mm.
block out light and heat. The umbrageous pines, it said. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is umbrageous means to be incensed, furious as well.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. Comes from umbracatus, which means shade.
Hence
basically.
Professor Umbridge.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought of too. That makes sense. Perfect.
It's funny because even today, people like the modern now is, don't throw shade on me.
Right.
Back then they had it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because to be incensed with umbrage, he's taken umbrage. They used to talk about a shadowed brow, didn't they, back then? A shadow fell over his countenance. So yeah, that's where umbrage comes from. But I've never really come across it unless you go back this far. Umbrageous pines.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it.
She uses a lot of it's quite interesting watching, going back to Radcliffe, because she uses a lot of technique which is in books, but because we're like 2 centuries on, it's so flagrant. The way she describes everybody, like the his mother. She's clearly the bad guy right from the off. Just
Oh yeah.
paints
Oh
her-
yeah.
Paints are like
Yes.
just shocking. He's proud but also humble at the same time. He fluctuates. But she, on the other hand, doesn't have any redeeming qualities. Where does it say? Oh, I can't find where it is now. Yes. Her pride was that of birth and distinction without extending to morals. Like,
Accurate
wow.
to her, for sure.
So,
And then later on, his pride was noble and generous as that of the Marchese, so his father. But he had somewhat of the fiery passions of the Marchesa, without any of her craft, her duplicity, or vindictive thirst for revenge.
Some pretty strong statements there, for sure.
Yeah, and then the next girl that turns up is like the one that he likes, who he's met coming down the steps. Turns out she's embroidering for nuns in a neighboring convent.
An angel.
Talk about saying, "Here lies the angel." She could have endured poverty, but not contempt. That's a bit of foreshadowing. So, I found that quite funny to see it so
Yeah,
like in your face.
very much so. You know exactly where you're gonna stand. I
I
love Dia said that Umbrageous describes the dastardly duo in the Italian. I was like, yeah, it does. They are both quite umbrageous, especially Schedoni.
Yeah.
Once we meet him.
Scaloni.
Yeah. Yeah. He just started it, Tia.
I just
on this last
started it
print.
because I lost my William Godwin.
So he's settling for, what the crowd swayed him to do.
Yeah.
Peer
I've
pressure
been
work.
saving that for this sprint.
You're gonna find it as soon as sprints are over.
Yeah, you
Oh.
are.
That's how it works. Or
Mhm.
as soon as Febregency is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you find it before the end of Febregency.
Well, it's shorter than the Italian, so I should be able to get through it if I do find it, depending on how things go in life.
Yeah. In life. Oh. So I haven't read any Sir Walter Scott yet, so I'm excited to get to Ivanhoe because it will be like my first one by him. I own several, but haven't gotten to him yet. So
Ivanhoe was fun.
that's what I've heard. It's like the one I hear people talk about the most by him. I don't know that it's necessarily like everyone's favorite, but it seems like the one that people talk about the most, most well known, I guess.
Because of Robin Hood.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Although I think in the Regency period, the one you get most reference to, or at least in my experience of reading, I think it's Rob Roy.
Okay.
The one that's most referenced, and Waverley is often referenced as well. I mean, obviously Ivanhoe is too, but
Mhm.
yeah, Rob Roy. I think Jane Austen references Waverley in one of the books. So I might be
She
completely wrong.
does.
Yeah,
I want to
think
read
you're
both of them. I was thinking about doing it this year, but then Dia was like, "The Antiquary is my favorite," so I decided to go with that one instead.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Is Ivanhoe hard to read?
Oh.
I haven't started it yet, so my other co-host, is Ivanhoe hard to read?
I feel like at times it was a slog, but at times I really loved it, and like overall, I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. So
I think, yeah, density wise, I think it's very readable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thick on description at times.
Yeah.
You have to fall into Scott's way of writing as well. It's just struck me going back because I haven't read a Regency one for a while, and you can't judge most of the Regency writers, especially the early ones, if you're thinking in terms of Jane Austen. They're not like that.
Yeah.
She's so fresh and light. But yeah, just going into Anne Radcliffe, it was like, ooh, I've got to really readjust the tone in my head. Ivanhoe, Walter Scott, I find, is a bit like that.
Okay.
But he's a romantic. Like massive romantic, and so born out of the likes of the Gothic movement, Radcliffe, Walter Scott, you get later the sensational novels, and they come from that, which are overtly playing on your sense of danger and threat and love and all that kind of stuff. You know, like she talks about her features were of the Grecian outline and expressed with the tranquility of an elegant mind. You know, it's quite forced poetic, which I love, to be quite honest, in its own place. So yeah, they play on your emotion. So if you find it a bit tough at times with Walter Scott, just stick with it, because when he decides to get into the action, he's really good at it. Like, seriously good.
Yes.
Awesome. Anna hasn't read any Sir Walter Scott yet either, so I'm glad I'm not alone. Dia liked Ivanhoe a lot. And Dia said that she loved the Antiquary. And it tied with Vicar of Wakefield for 10th spot in 2024.
I haven't read The Antiquary, so there's a good recommendation to jot this down. Antiquary.
Mimi is listening to a discussion of volume 2 of Emma. That sounds really interesting. I love Emma. Emma's just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Woodhouse is one of my favorite Jane Austen characters to laugh at. Like, he's so over the top, and I love him.
He's adorable.
He really is. Every time I hear the word gruel, I think of Mr. Woodhouse. Every time.
Or the cold.
I'm heading back to Emma this year.
Been
a long time since I read Emma. It's my favorite of all of them.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? The top 6.
It is.
You know,
top 6, yeah.
Can't count
Exactly.
even like my least favorite Austens are still like 4 or 5 star books. Like, I still love them. So like, Emma is actually one of my least favorites because I don't find Emma as relatable as other Jane Austen heroines, because I've never been that meddlesome in other people's lives. But I still love it. I still love reading Emma. So it's like my least favorite Austen is still head and shoulders over most other people's books, because I just love Jane Austen.
Yeah, she's amazing. Have you guys actually ever done a video ranking the Austens?
I haven't.
Oh, go on. Consider this.
My friend Victoria did. I can send it to you.
That'd be so hard.
It would. Because it changes every time I reread one.
Same.
It like flaps. So, yeah.
That might be an interesting collab or something to do, though. Just talk about our top.
Ooh, that would be a
rank
really
them
fun
together.
Oh, if it's just a general matter, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like we should do that for a Febregency collab.
That would be super fun. Because I think we'd all have different rankings, you
We
know.
could just throw it in this month.
Yeah, no big deal. Just throw it in.
Toss it in.
I'm happy for that, because at the moment, you know, I'm losing all my books, so I don't know what I'm going to make for content.
There you go. There's your content, Tristan.
Just talk about Jane Austen. Oh, come on then. Come on. They've got to do at least one, being as it is Febregency. If you had to pick the top one, where would you go? For yourself personally?
I think I'm going to have to go with the cliche Pride and Prejudice. I feel like all the other ones, they do kind of go up and down the list, but that one, every time I read it, it's still like, this is my favorite. Which it may change the next time I read one, but I feel like that's my go-to.
I have a really unpopular opinion for my favorite.
Ooh.
My favorite's Northanger Abbey, which is not most people's even top 3.
Wow.
But it's because when I was a teenager, my husband and I started dating when I was in high school. Well, we were both in high school. And I was definitely a Catherine Morland in every way. And he was a Henry Tilney that came in and kind of like balanced me out.
Nice.
And so, like, because I find Catherine Morland so relatable and I find the story so funny, that's why I love Northanger Abbey so much. So
this is so funny. This is why it's top 6, because so we have Pride and Prejudice, Northanger Abbey. I'm gonna say Mansfield Park. And
yeah.
Lawrence,
that's also very unpopular. Yeah. Okay. So Victoria said Sense and Sensibility hands down, and Dia said
Persuasion.
hands down,
Persuasion
which is my
is
second
so
favorite.
good.
Now
Persuasion's my second
Kristen.
favorite.
Now Tristan.
Emma.
Emma. Yeah.
I'm not trying to complete the set, but it is Emma. Mansfield's my second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My order, I've done a video on this, so you guys have to do it. But my order is Emma, Mansfield Park, and of course I can change on these, like everybody. I think Emma's the one that always stays top. But oddly enough, that's for the it's hard because for just the story, and just if I want to lie back of summer read and just have a lovely story, it'll be Pride and Prejudice. But Emma is my favorite character. I think it's really rich as a book. But yeah, Emma, Mansfield Park, Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, Northanger Abbey, Sense and Sensibility. Sorry, Victoria.
No, I agree with Sense and Sensibility as number 6. Like, I still love it.
Yeah, there's no bad
my
ones.
least. Yeah.
It's number 5 for me, so it also is, you know. And Pride and Prejudice is also 3 for me, so Mansfield Park would be 4. So.
Okay. Yeah. Oh.
Anna Marie has not read Mansfield Park, and it's the last one that you haven't read. It is so bittersweet when you get to that last one, when you're like, oh, this is the last like time that I can experience Jane Austen for the first time.
But then
really
you
is
get
bittersweet
freedom as much as you want.
Yeah. Mind you, they're so enjoyable to go through again. You pick up so much more.
Yeah.
And they feel so familiar. I did notice that, Dia. It's all right. I forgive you. Is that because she's a really annoying character?
Probably.
She can be proper snotty, can't she, Emma?
She is, but I do love her character growth. She has a really great arc, truly.
Yeah, I would say hers is the most dramatic of the arcs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Knightley's pretty swoony.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Jeremy Northam. Have you seen the Gwyneth Paltrow film?
Oh, I
haven't
not like
actually.
That film.
Oh, the Gwyneth Paltrow version is quite good, and Jeremy Northam in that is proper. Oh yes, he's a proper dicey. That's not.
Not
dicey. He's a very umbrageous character. No, he's. Oh, what's that? Victoria's got.
That's the word of the day is umbrageous. Okay, so Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Emma, and then the other 3 are in the bottom. So. Yeah.
Yeah, rotating. Yeah, Dia said it's the manipulation.
Yeah, I had that. It's kind of anxious reading for me. Reading Emma was both times I read it, I was really anxious the whole time. So it wasn't a great experience for me, even though I can see that it's funny, but I can't feel that it's funny.
Well, it's the Enneagram 9 inside of you. That you're like, oh no, this is too tense. I can't deal.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't deal with this. The picnic scene. Is that what gets you?
Oh my gosh.
She's meddlesome.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a clue to reading, like getting on with Emma. You have to become Emma. You have to read it as if it's you. If you read it as I am Emma, and not because then you can't judge her. Because if you're outside, you're like nasty little oik, right? If you are Emma, she's really young, and she's she's spoiled and indulged, and she thinks she's doing good deeds, doesn't she? Really,
yeah. She does.
And doesn't realize how immature she is because she thinks she's got it all together. And that's what I love about her arc is she realizes everything she's so strident on at the beginning and certain of about herself. The whole book is how that collapses. Until she's this meek character at the end. And I love that. I love Austen because she just has a different pick because she would have known those characters and she picks them out. She says Emma's her favorite. What was the famous line? I'm going to write a heroine which no one will like except myself.
Yeah.
So, but you look at Mansfield Park, and that's like Mansfield Park. I think the subtitle to Mansfield Park should be "What Happened to Jane Austen," because
so different.
Yeah, it's like really it's not exactly like the others. But of course, that was commenting on the evangelical movement. And Persuasion's just got the best letter ever written.
It does. It's so good.
I love this. Okay, so Emily's is Persuasion, Pride and Prejudice, and then Northanger Abbey, which is also my top 3, but in a different order.
This is making me want to pick up Persuasion.
Yeah, it's been a couple years for me. You haven't read Mansfield Park yet. I read Lady Susan last year and did not really enjoy it very much, but I think that's a very divisive one in general. So, oh, there's my husband. I told you he trolls. There he is. I was wondering why he hadn't come on yet. I didn't know what he was doing with his life. Usually he finds a way. I can be on other people's channels and he somehow finds me.
He was giving us a false sense of security.
Exactly.
Playing mind games.
Exactly a false sense of security.
Mind games.
Can I just say too that every time I see Claire, she's taller.
Yes.
She is 5'6" now. She's 12 years old and she's 5'6".
Almost as tall as me.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, I'm 5'7". She's only an inch shorter than me. Oh, he's busy saving some homeless people from the rain. What a man.
I learned recently that Jane Austen was writing when she was ill, dying, because she had quite a protracted death, didn't she? All of her fond memories were by the seaside.
Mm-hmm.
And it was while she was lying in bed that she was writing Sanditon, which is set at the seaside, the only book that's set there.
Yeah.
Although she has the scene in Persuasion, but yeah, I think it's quite sad that she must have been doing a lot of reminiscing in a sick bed, and Sanditon was almost the result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's how you really feel, Dia.
I love it when Dia doesn't like a book.
Oh, me too.
It's so cute.
It's adorable.
Persuasion's really high up on a lot of people's lists.
It's the letter, man.
It is. This is a very spoilery comment, so if you haven't read Sense and Sensibility, do not look at the screen.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, it's really fun. Okay, because I teach a British literature class at our homeschool group, and we're reading Sense and Sensibility right now, and none of them have read it before. And the looks on these girls' faces when we're discussing, like, they are like so just swallowed up by the drama in Sense and Sensibility. They're like having a really good time with Sense and Sensibility. It's so fun to see their reactions because I know what's going to happen and they don't. So I'm hearing that. I'm like, so what do you think is going to happen next with this? And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting theories. We'll see. Happen soon.
That's awesome. I'd love to.
You're okay, Emily. I think like everyone's listing. No one has said they haven't read it in the comments yet. Everyone else is like talking about it. So I think that you're okay. I just said it just in case. But
I think the only one in the comment that said they haven't read something was Mansfield.
Yes. So I think you're okay, but I just put it out there just in case. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say that it's late.
Except for maybe the troll. I think he's too busy. I don't think he's ready yet.
Yeah, my husband's not ready, but he has watched Pride and Prejudice. So that's about it.
Oh, which version?
2005. Keira Knightley.
Okay. What about the BBC 95? He
hasn't seen it, and actually, I haven't seen it either. He was like, thanks a lot, Emily. He's not gonna read it, Emily. You're good.
Your masculinity score just took a serious hit.
Oh, this is Lucy.
That's my wife's name.
Sorry. I know.
That's my wife's name.
Really?
Poppy is a dog.
Poppy and Lucy. Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
You're right at home.
Yeah. Named after Lucille Ball.
Pride and
zombie
Prejudice
one.
zombie.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, Sense and Sensibility is sea monsters, right? And
think
Pride and
so.
Prejudice is the zombies.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is it any good, the zombie
Saturday?
thing?
Tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the Pride and Prejudice 2005 version came out when I was in high school, and I went to see it in theaters with my best friend, having never read any Jane Austen at all. And I watched it and I was obsessed with the movie, and then I read all of Jane Austen's works within a year. So the 2005 Pride and Prejudice has a very special place in my heart because it was my introduction to Jane Austen. So
Fair play.
I have a story about that. A friend of mine, I had never seen it.
anyway,
A
Sorry.
friend of mine put on the 2005 Pride and Prejudice and stopped it halfway through. And she was like, yeah, I don't want to finish it right now. And I was like, are you kidding? I literally left her house, brought the movie to my house, and finished it on my own. And then I started reading the book.
I love it.
Yeah.
Then moved and wouldn't talk to her ever again.
Sounds like we're not the only ones that this was our introduction. It was a good introduction. I didn't have any criticisms because I hadn't read it yet. So,
I think the advantage of it is, like, you go back now and you look at anything filmed in the 90s and it looks dated. You know, just the filters on the cameras and everything. But as for covering the book, man, it's good. It's just, it's, you know, obviously because it's 6 episodes, it covers the whole thing. So it's, and also you've got David Bamber as, what's his name? Oh, what's the clergyman's name? Mr. Collins.
Mr. Collins.
David Bamber as Mr. Collins is just the best.
Have you been watching the Budget Pride and Prejudice on Instagram?
What? No.
Oh, you need to. He's redoing the BBC one, and if you watch it, there's little like gems that you see. It's amazing. Like People Magazine even did an article on it because it got so big. I'll send it in the link or the group chat if I remember because it's fantastic. And it's one guy doing all the roles.
Oh my god.
It's such a commitment that he's taken on there.
It is.
Yeah, sounds like
when he gets to the end of his life and looks back.
My greatest achievements.
I did a 3-minute by 3-minute rendition of Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
Emily, Colin Firth in the lake.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That
was like...
It had to be mentioned. It had to be
said. Everybody went nuts over that. I remember I was a kid, and I remember all the girls like older that they were like going crazy. My sister's friends. I was like, what's so? You just see this guy swaggering out of a lake.
It's funny because I feel like the 2005 version, the thing that everyone swoons over is like the hand clench.
The hand clench.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody.
Stephanie, do you need to put a fan on?
It gets me every time. I knew where Tiffany was going.
Anyways, I think that Mimi's right about this. There is value in continually like doing new adaptations of classics because it's going to introduce new generations.
That is true.
And we're all going to have our favorite adaptations. And so I feel like when there's new adaptations, I'm usually like, oh, I don't like this. But it might be someone else's introduction to Jane Austen, but we're still not going to talk about the Persuasion, the latest Persuasion adaptation. We don't talk about that. But maybe someone is like, oh, now I want to read Jane Austen. So maybe it had its merit for that. Yeah. See, that's what I was just saying.
Everybody knows.
It's hard to turn into a film, I find, because it's a slow book.
Yeah.
And it's all internal, not really external.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's Anne's own thoughts, isn't it?
Kate House Patreon did a watch of the new Persuasion altogether, and Kate literally fell asleep during it. was really funny.
My friend
She just
Edie and
stopped
I,
speaking.
yeah, we did a drunk live reaction, and the whole time we're like, "This is awful. What is this?" No,
That was a
It's
really
so
fun
bad.
video.
it's so bad.
Your indignation was like amazing.
I know, but I felt vindicated because then I watched it with Kate House Patreon group, and people were mad at it, and it's like, okay, I wasn't being over dramatic. It's the film. It's not me.
I think most people's thing is like that Anne's personality is very different. So it's not even just like the lack of like historical continuity or like, it's like that she doesn't even act even remotely the same.
Yeah.
That would be like if Mr. Darcy was like this bubbly, friendly person at the beginning of Pride and Prejudice. You're like, wait a second.
Now a
Doesn't match
golden
up.
retriever.
Just changes the story.
I hate it when they do films that bear no resemblance to the book at all, but they're just riding the name of the book.
Yeah.
I watched one recently, so I could have given an example, but I can't remember what it was at all. I just remember thinking, well, that
You've
wasn't like
wiped it from your brain.
Lucy and the kids were happily enjoying it, and I was determined to ruin it by saying, well, it's not like the book. That doesn't happen in the book.
That's why my family can't watch adaptations with me, because that's what I do. I nitpick it to death. I'm like, it's got to be at least a year since I've read the book. Otherwise, I will be like, every little detail. I'm like, why would you change that? Like, it's just a little detail. Why change it? Like, why? And then if something big, I get even more mad. So
Yeah. And are there any films you could say were better than the book?
Phantom of the Opera.
Oh wow, that's a call.
Catch Me If You Can. My husband said the movie is much better than the book.
Ooh.
I would say Wizard of Oz. Honestly, that might be a controversial take. But
Interesting.
I thought the book was kind of boring.
The movie is really good.
I've never read Catch Me If You Can either.
Moneyball too. Kevin said that movie is also better than the book. That's a good movie. I enjoy that.
This makes sense. I feel like fantasy can be hard to translate onto screen in a way that, because we've all got our idea in our mind of what it looks like, and I think it can be hard to adapt that. Malfounders. I haven't seen that.
See you, Victoria.
Bye. So glad you were here. Yeah.
Last of the Mohicans for me.
Oh, I think you're good with this, Lindsay, because I don't think we didn't say it. I just put it on the screen, so you should be fine. Last of the Mohicans.
I think the film's better, the one with Daniel Day-Lewis.
That's a good one too.
It's only got a few snippets really that match the film, the book. But yeah, I'm afraid, James. That was what I read that at Fenimore Cooper, and then I've never been able to stomach the idea of reading him again. Does he write any good books? Because that was horrible.
Yeah, I've only read
really
that.
struggled.
Not a fan.
Everything of, this is a place where you will be safe. No one can find you behind this waterfall. Like 3 pages later, they're found. It's like, oh, okay, fair enough. And then one of the main characters, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but, cover your ears. You know what I mean about the girls? One of the main characters, like, just ends in a paragraph. You know which bit I'm talking about? I'm being careful. I mean, I don't mind spoiling it for people because I'll be doing you a favor.
I'll be doing you a favor.
Even Mark Twain, he wrote a book about the sins of Fenimore Cooper, didn't he?
Oh, I didn't know that.
The literary sins of James Fenimore Cooper.
Really?
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's
I like the drama.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, and of course, have you guys read The Last of the Mohicans?
I haven't.
I tried.
I had to read it in college.
I was already struggling, but what about Stephanie? The bit with the bear.
I blocked most of it out, to be honest. I hate Reddit. I had to read it for school. That's the only reason I finished it, because I had to write a paper on it.
To creep past the bad guys in a camp of teepees. He hollows out a bear.
Oh, that's right.
And puts it on.
That's
I'm
right.
I'm thinking, well,
Yeah.
I'm guessing you mean
totally
your head is
blocked that
inside
out.
its head looking out of its peepholes, because I mean that would have been one sort of saggy looking bear.
It just reminds me of like Wile E. Coyote from Looney Tunes with like a sheet
Yeah.
over it.
I was thinking that we're supposed to buy this.
Oh
Wow.
my god. I
Yeah.
totally blocked all that out.
Oh man. I haven't read or watched Day of the Jackal.
I haven't either.
So I actually I love the Lord of the Rings movies, but I could not make it through the Hobbit movies.
I can.
Yeah.
I thought they were
watch them.
ridiculous.
They're not that good.
But there are things I don't like about the Lord of the Rings movies, even though I grew up with them and I love them to death. I think the movies did a good job, but there are things that I really don't like that they changed. I just try to let it go.
I was that person that I went to see the first Hobbit in theaters, and the friend I went with was like, "You need to be quiet," because I was like, "That wasn't in the book. This didn't need to be here. What's this?
Let's
This isn't
create
over.
a love
There's 2
interest.
more movies."
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
No,
But I love the original trilogy, the
Yes.
Lord of the Rings.
same.
I
Oh,
liked the part in
Sorry.
Hobbiton. in
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, Emily said the Hobbit cartoon later. It's from the
Yes.
70s. That one was good.
It
I
is
like that
good.
one.
That one's great.
The Chronicles of Narnia. That was a
Oh.
disaster.
Yeah.
I remember there's a program in the 80s that was a cartoon of Narnia, and that was quite good.
Hmm.
It
think
probably
I've
hasn't
seen
aged
that.
well at all.
I
Lord
never
of the Rings hard to do
never-
because Lord of the Rings is a modern epic, and epics are just so hard to capture.
Mm.
Yeah.
Something
I do
nice
like-
about Lord of the Rings that stands up really well is because they used so much like makeup and like prosthetics and all this stuff. You don't have all these CGI things that aren't going to stand up. There's not as much of that. Like so much of it is stuff sets they actually built and stuff.
Right.
And so I think that makes a big difference in its longevity as well.
Exactly.
Have you seen Miss Austen on ITV?
Miss Austen. My wife has. I don't think No, I haven't. But my wife has, and she wants me to watch it.
So you'll report back.
That doesn't necessarily make it a good recommendation. I may have offended her. Watch this. Afterwards, I'll say it's rubbish, and she'll go, "I knew you'd think that." Right?
I knew you.
I wouldn't mind watching that because it's not. It incorporates parts of the books, doesn't it? As far as I remember, they did
Interesting.
something with Dickens a while ago. So yeah, I wouldn't mind looking that up. Did anyone see do you remember Miss Potter with Renée Zellweger?
I
Yes,
didn't
that
watch
was-
it, but
that
I
was
saw
good.
the previews for it. I do love Beatrix Potter though.
I liked it.
I did see that. Yeah.
Do you know Antiques Roadshow?
Yes.
So there was this guy, my favorite ever episode. This is linked. I'm not just like suddenly, hey, Antiques Roadshow. I had a thought. There was this guy, he turns up and everyone's got their wonderful things. And let's face it, most of the time, you either watch that film to see some program to either see someone have a huge amount of money given or to see the faces of people who think they've got something special. That's worth $2. But I'm sure money isn't anything to you. It's the sentimental. It's like, no one believes that. But there's this guy. He turns up with a carrier bag with all these bits of paper in it, and he puts them down on this bench, and they start taking them out. And they're little pictures, and he says, "Oh, well, my grandmother or whatever he was getting on. Her family used to have Beatrix Potter come round and visit because they were neighbours, like up in the Dales and the lakes even. And she said these are some of her sketches, and you could see them all. The characters were there, Peter Rabbit and Jemima Puddle Duck and all those kind of things. And then he's got them in this crazy shopping bag. And the guy says, he lays all of them out. And he says, so how much do you think they're worth? He went, I don't really know. He says they've just been lying around. And the guy went, well, that's £5,000. And he went, wow, that's really good, he said. And he picked one up and went, for that one.
Oh.
Turned out it's about £300,000 worth.
Just lying around, and he brings them in like a bag.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
Gracious. Hi, Mitzi.
Hi, Mitzi. That's lovely. Rich, Hitchhiker's Guide. You're going to dislike me now. I can't. I need to try again. I can't get into Hitchhikers. I don't know what it is. Sci-fi's, everyone has some genres which they're not great at. Sci-fi is mine. I don't do horror, and sci-fi I struggle with.
I liked Hitchhikers, but I never continued on with the series after the first one.
I didn't either, but I feel
The
like
first one
it's
was funny,
very a particular type of humor.
It is. It definitely is. There were things that I'm like, I don't get this at all. And then some of it I thought was funny. So
Yeah.
it was hit or miss for me, I think. But I did enjoy it. I'm glad I read it.
I
And
would
I would
probably
say
like
that's kind of a classic, Rich. I would say that is like a sci-fi classic, even though it's not as old as Regency era. Like, I mean, it's like
I would call that
80,
a classic genre.
quirky and acquired taste. I would agree.
It's Victoria's taste.
Yes. That's why I read it. Because of Victoria. Oh, goodness. Well, do we want to read again? We've been chatting for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really fun. I'm sorry if I missed anyone's comments. They were going fast, so I did the best I could. I didn't intentionally ignore anyone's comments. All right. We'll read
I
for
think-
another.
If Tristan ever decides he wants to do live streams, he may have gained a forever troll. that is.
Well, yeah, probably.
I don't mind. Come and troll.
You just
I
keep
love it.
on popping on there. All right. So let's see. What time would that be? My brain. 40. Well, it'll be 42. Let's do 45.
Oh, hang on. You talk about trolling. That's not trolling. That's quite true.
Is it true?
Really?
It is true. Yes. They've just got DNA evidence of Jack the Ripper.
Really?
Yes. I'm
Whoa.
pleased you reminded me because
Oh.
I was dead excited. No pun intended. And that's reminded me. I never actually found out who it was. So
Oh my
I'm going to go and find out.
gosh.
I just assumed it was more trolling. Wow.
Yeah, me too. Oh my
To be
god.
fair, you never know.
You really never do.
There's only been one other time when Peter was totally serious and I thought he was joking. So the whole time I
two for
thought-
two.
He's very deadpan too, so he's like that in person as well, where lots of people don't know whether or not he's serious or joking.
Can't tell. I don't have a funny bone.
Oh, goodness. Anyways, let's go till 45. It'll be easier to remember when we're supposed to come back, and Stephanie will be happier that we're not coming back at 43.
I'm loving these numbers this weekend.
You're so welcome. I do it all for you.
Thank you.
Anyway, happy reading, everyone. See you in a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. Hi, Jana. Good to see you. Jana's chiming in with her favorite Jane Austen novels. Also Emma,
Ooh.
just like Tristan's.
I mean, honestly, you can't really go wrong with the order. Let's just be honest.
You truly cannot. You really can't.
As proven by this live stream.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Speaking
How did
of
everyone's
Austen,
reading go?
I picked up Sense and Sensibility.
Did you?
Resist it anymore.
I love it. Peer pressure.
I mean, I'm probably going to pick up Persuasion at some point this weekend because we've been talking about it so
I
much.
know.
Exactly.
Persuasion's so short too.
Exactly. It's like I can fit in a short one.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Reading the Italian has made me want to pick up Northanger Abbey.
It does.
Reading
To make-
Sprints shifting all our TBRs.
I know it.
I love it.
Except for Tiffany's. She's got an ironclad TBR.
She's disciplined.
Well, I did already read Sense and Sensibility, so that helps.
True.
But I did finish volume 2 of the Italian, so I'm through where I was supposed to be today. And I read a few pages of Ivanhoe. I haven't quite finished the first chapter.
Was that Dexter?
Yeah, it
He
was.
wanted to make his presence known.
He did. I don't know. I think he was talking to the cat.
We're all Dexter fans here.
Oh, Jana's reading Northanger Abbey right now. It's been a couple years since I read that one. I love it.
I would genuinely recommend, if you haven't already, reading something like the Italian or the Mysteries of Adolfo or those kind of things, not just to appreciate Northanger Abbey, but to understand Sense and Sensibility. And because Sense, of course, is what's her face, Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Sensibility is Marianne. You also see sensibility in Mrs. Bennet, who's always talking about her nerves and all that kind of stuff. That's all because of the major romantic movement, which was an 18th century movement that went into the 19th, where you were it was the height of culture and sophistication to show your emotions in the most elevated way. Sorrows of Young Werther by Goethe in Germany, that was like the book that made all, men would go around and if you broke into tears over a forget-me-not, it meant you were a sophisticated chap. And that's why Marianne is like she is, because she reads Walter Scott's poetry all the time. And Mrs. Bennet, being older, her youth was in this heightened sensibility. And I was just reading this part of the Italian, and I was thinking, this is it. This is exactly what they were like.
Yeah.
And it's what Jane Austen was taking the mick out of with Marianne and Mrs. Bennet, and of course Northanger Abbey was a shot at the books altogether. So for anyone that loves Jane Austen, is going to do read Sensibility, read a chapter or two from the beginning of one of the romances, Gothics especially.
I mean, I did say in the group chat with Dia and Tiffany that Vivaldi and Paolo are like drama llamas.
Oh, they for sure are.
It very much fits
So
with
dramatic.
the sensibility that you're talking about. It's so entertaining.
They remind me of Don Quixote and Sancho.
Yeah.
Their interactions.
But
Hi,
I love that you
Krista.
can make all those connections
Yeah,
and reminders. It's so fun.
fun.
Because, like you're saying, they're drama llamas. So from our day, which I've not used before, so thanks for that.
I know, isn't it great? Stephanie just introduced me to that phrase a little while ago as well.
But you would look at something like this and people would say, oh, that's so unrealistic, it's so cliche, it's so actually, as weirdly over the top as this is, I mean, talk about changing time period. Vivaldi's clambered into Eleanor's garden in a cloak, trying to stand by a window to catch a glimpse. You'd be arrested today. I was expecting the discharge of a blunderbuss from behind a lattice.
Look at the lengths that men would go to back in the day.
After seeing half her face, because the veil moved a little bit.
Right.
And her sweet voice. And it's like, I'm in love. This
I'm
is
getting
very,
Genji vibes. Ugh.
it's very Petrarchan sonnets kind of thing.
Yes.
But the thing is, you'd say it's unrealistic, but it's not for its time period.
Right.
This was your ideal man here. I mean, how times have changed. I am pleased. I don't relish the thought of clambering through bushes to find my wife.
It's a lot easier.
Right.
You know?
It's nice to talk a little bit before you fall in love with someone.
That's right. Yeah. I've still got the police record.
Right. Right.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, that's funny.
I agree, Dia. There's a lot of Shakespeare connections, too,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, well, he's wonderful.
Mhm. Yes.
That's someone I need to get back into. I read a lot in high school and college, but not really like as an adult after college. I think I need to get back to one of his.
I've been reading them with my daughter, and it's so fun to read them with her and introduce her to them. She loves Shakespeare.
Oh, what a wonderful girl.
Claire is
She is. I'm a
She
little
really
biased,
is.
but she is. Her favorite is Macbeth. So
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
she had the whole like witches monologue memorized at one point. I don't know if she still does, but she loves Macbeth.
What
You're
I
right.
love about that witch's monologue is like it's written in dactyl, the dactyl measure or foot. So iamb is to goes unstressed, stressed, but dactyl is upside down. It's stressed, unstressed. Hubble, boil, and what is it? Toil and trouble, cauldron burn. And what's really interesting, I didn't know this until years ago when I researched it, but it's an unsettling rhythm that's been known by poets for a long time. So the most noble rhythm in the English language is iambic pentameter. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York. So all the nobles talk in it. But if you want to make an ease, hubble, toil and trouble, cauldron burn and something bubble, fire burn, cauldron bubble. It's upside down, and it because it's not natural to the English language. That's why it has such a mysterious supernatural element.
Ooh, interesting. My favorite thing I learned from one of my favorite professors was that you can identify a ballad because you can sing it to the tune of Gilligan's Island, and I haven't been able to unhear that.
Interesting tidbit. I love it.
I also love that Dexter was in the corner, and right when Dexter was there, Tristan reached around to grab something, and it lined up perfectly.
Like you can hit it.
So there you go, Dexter.
We'll take it. It's like music in a minor key. Yeah, it's like off-putting.
Yes.
It's like unsettling.
That's so interesting.
I'm just taking a note of the ballad
We're
thing.
just learning so much. Yeah, try it and see. But I've been yet to find one that doesn't match up.
That's so interesting. That's really fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's
Right
the
in my
same one
phone.
that would do the 24-hour Milton-a-thon. His classes were fun. Amazing.
Singing Amazing Grace to Gilligan's Island is hilarious.
I love it. That's a new one.
That's one I don't think I've ever heard a sentence where those two were in the same sentence.
I know.
And I love it.
I'm gonna have to try it later though.
I'm gonna try really hard not to do this at church tomorrow. The hymns that we're singing. Because
Like she looked really distracted this Sunday.
why did she keep laughing? Maybe it's just the joy of the Lord.
Yeah, you're filled with the joy of the Spirit.
That's what it is. Yeah, it has nothing to do with Gilligan's Island. I don't know why you would ask that. It's weird. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, made that note there. Let's make sure I don't lose that now. I'll be devastated. That's one of my books of quotes from fiction. Do you keep like books? Do you do commonplace books or quote books or?
I do, yeah. I love them.
I keep meaning to start one, and then I never think about doing it when I actually need it.
I started one, but I never think about updating it.
Yeah.
Mine's not as like organized as I would like it to be because I love ones where I could find a quote really easily if I wanted to, but it makes sense for me to also write the quotes by book, but then it's harder to find them by topic if I'm looking for a certain thing. So, you know.
I guess I keep a commonplace Google Doc. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
I think it does.
Searchable. It's more convenient that way because then I can search for it if I'm like, what was that quote?
I think that totally counts. It's a digital version of a commonplace journal. So
and you can add little keywords so you can sort it by topic. That's super smart.
Mm-hmm. Easier to find.
Think of that. Thank you.
Yeah. That's probably what I would end up doing because I use Google Docs all the time.
Yes.
Google Docs is life.
Yeah.
I usually make a new Google Doc for every 2 months on BookTube. So January and February, March and April 2025. You know.
Yeah. And we always have our phones on us. I never really have a notebook on me.
Yeah.
Oh, I always have a notebook on me. It's just, is it the right one?
I
misplaced the notebook that I was looking for. So.
Right.
Yeah. I just wear paper clothes. The only way I can be sure that I won't lose.
Great, except when it rains.
Well, that's just embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love this, Mitzi. A miscellanies, like Jonathan Edwards.
Ooh, I like that.
How do you organize it?
Right? I need more info.
Wow.
Well,
cool.
Can I, because I'm dreadful at organizing. So I keep mine, I got this is one of my quote books here, which I'm working through. And I don't have a cross-reference or anything to them or an index. And I've never really done a commonplace book because I'm not organized and I really would like to be. So Mitzi, I'd love to get in touch with you and you can show me how to do it because I've got loads of books which I write in left, right, and center and lose most of them. I do lots. Most of my organization is done on a sheet of paper for the day because I know it's going to vanish. So but I'd love to keep a proper organized miscellany commonplace, but I just don't quite know how to do it. My mind is very disorganized. Michelle's
I think lots of people organize them differently. So I'm curious to see. Hi, Michelle.
Nice.
I read that last year. I love it.
That was a good one.
Okay. We have a table of contents. It's called the Edwards process.
Oops.
Oh, that's interesting. She said she'll teach you.
I would love that. Genuinely.
Yes.
If you're available,
do a video on it.
And do a video on it.
Awesome.
I love seeing how different people organize it because Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day, she just started a new commonplace journal and she decided she was going to set it up differently because before she'd just do it by book, but now she has it organized by subject. And so if she comes across a quote about nature for whatever, for example, like she can put that in the nature section and stuff. And I'm always like, but what if there's not enough pages and you run out of room in that section? And then it's like,
that's my thought.
Mm-hmm. So I love seeing how different people organize it because it's going to be different for every single person. And if you do it by topic, different topics are going to matter more to different people than others. So it's always interesting to see people's process.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. What happens when you run out of? So I was reading Alexander Pope, an essay on commonplace books and how to do it. I can read most of his essays and fine, get that, but on this one on organization, I just did not. I was like, but you'll run out of space. What then?
Start another notebook, I guess. Just carry around 2, but then like where does it end?
Exactly.
I guess one thing that could be nice is if you did like a binder and you ran out of space, you could just add more papers in that section. If like
That's
you
a
need
good
more
idea.
space there. So like a binder might be helpful for that. Obviously, you're gonna need to start a new binder at some point because you'll run out of room, but you won't have to worry about running out of room in a specific section. You
That's
can just
true.
add more paper.
So Dia said one notebook for every subject.
Oh my
And
god.
You'd have a
that's
whole
great.
shelf.
I'll just go around with a wheelbarrow.
Like a card. I love this. So okay, so she codes it, and then you.
Code it.
Okay. So if you run
Okay.
out of space, then you
Pure
find the
Nessie
next page
vibes.
with codes. Okay.
Interesting.
What I will say, Mitzi, if you do a video on this, this will be a highly searched for video title.
Mm-hmm. It will.
It's worth putting the effort
Yeah,
into this one
it
because
will.
you will get a lot of views for that.
And we'll
Yeah.
totally share it because
4,000 of them will be me
we
alone.
all- yeah.
You just keep coming back
Replay.
to it.
Replay.
What was that one part she said?
Exactly.
This is fair, Krista. I will mark or highlight quotes that I really love, and then when I get to the end of a book, I'll copy all of the quotes from that particular book. So that's why mine is like per book. But it would be smart of me to have an index, and then I can say what page number certain quotes are on, so that way I can find them easier. But
See,
I have not done that.
I think that's my problem because, like, when we did Middlemarch, I was like, I know this book. I just have a feeling like it's going to be one of those books that I love and I'm going to want to return to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started annotating it, and then you guys got like way ahead of me. And I'm like, but annotating is slowing me down. So halfway through, it's like, well, I'll just annotate it the next time.
There's always the
And
next
so,
time.
but part of it's like, if it's so good, I hate stopping to like mark stuff because I want to keep like devouring it, which is totally a me problem. But it's good intentions, bad execution for me.
There's no right or wrong way, is there?
Exactly.
I will
I
annotate as I go, and I actually have learned. I enjoy the slowing down. Doesn't matter that I don't get through. I'm not a fast reader anyway because I can't help, even if I want to, I can't help but sound it all out in my head, which means I can only read at talking pace. But I don't mind that because I know how to do it not that way, but I can't help it. I just want to go through everything. And so I'll stop and make little comments like, I wonder if this is foreshadowing. I bet it is. And then I'll come back to things like that and find out if I was right or wrong. But I love to argue with the people because as I'm writing things down and just making, oh, that's an interesting comment. That's why that word. I feel like I'm really deep in the set, like I'm living in the world, eavesdropping on conversations.
Yeah.
Like really getting a chance to, but not everyone does that. I'm just like, I love annotating.
I would love to like, which I've noticed I'm reading slower lately, but I would love to be able to like naturally, which I know it's practice, but just slow down because I remember it better.
Yeah. That
But
makes sense.
it's like you don't have to rush through it to find out what happens. Like enjoy the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could, I like this idea, color code what it is. So then if you want nature quotes are all in green or, so that's a really good idea because then you could find it really quickly just by flipping.
I'm screenshotting so many tips today.
I love it.
Oh, is that Jane or Jana?
Penny does it by book, which is how I've done it also, is that I do it by book.
Nice.
Oh, started.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
I can't either. That's too much. I annotate much more on Buddy Reads also because I'm going to come back and talk to other people about it. So I want to flag what I want to talk about, but I will highlight quotes that I love if I'm just reading it on my own.
Yeah.
You're not alone, Tristan. Actually, that's how my husband reads too. He reads at the pace of talking. He's like, you don't sound out like each word in your head, like you're reading it aloud in your head. I'm like, no, I do not.
Do you do it when you stop to focus on something though?
Not usually. I
Mm-mm.
really don't. Like so it's really interesting with that.
Sorry. That scared me. Sorry. I was making a note.
But I was talking to like my in-person book club about this, and me and like one other person, we just read, and we don't do it slowly like that in our heads, and everyone else does read it slowly. And so I ended up putting up a poll on my channel, and this was probably like a year and a half ago, and it turns out the vast majority of people do read like that, where it's like almost like an audiobook in their head of themselves, like reading it out loud. And
So
I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually way more common.
So do you not have an internal monologue generally then? You don't hear a voice through your day?
I talk to myself all the time.
I have
Out loud, or is it in your head? Do you actually hear a voice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of readers, they have the internal monologue, and they can read fast or read just by sight reading, not sight reading like school, but they can just take in without sounding out. But they tend to, a lot of those will slow down and talk it out in their head on bits they really want to grasp. If they think that's important, they'll go back and they'll speak it in their mind. I, on the other hand, can't help it. I took a course to not do it, but then kept coming back to because I'm too busy like writing anyway. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I do read out loud if it's like poetry, and it's like I understand it better sometimes if I read it out loud. But I've never thought about just reading in general like that.
I think
that's like,
I think it's why I like immersion reading.
Yeah.
So somebody's already putting feeling into it. It's like, because I think I do have that in my head going if I'm not listening to an audiobook. So this helps me read a little faster because I can speed up the audiobook.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just speed it up in my head, I tend to miss things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like,
Dia does this. She reads out loud if she needs to understand like what Tristan was saying. And Dia's one of the fastest readers.
yeah. But it's interesting though, because like before I joined BookTube, I didn't realize some people weren't visual readers. Like they
I
have
didn't either.
and it never occurred to me that people didn't see things when they read. So it's so interesting.
Yeah, hyperphagia or hypophagia.
Yeah.
Yeah. In one of the clubs I'm in, that's got someone who's hyperphasic, and then you got someone who is hyperphasic. They can see everything, like start a description of a person. So we had a really interesting chat about this. Here, put your comments in this. I never see the face of a character. I see their gestures. I hear their voice and their tone. I can sense their movements, because when I have a character and I'm reading, I'll begin to move like them.
Oh, I love that.
Books on dancing is incredible. But I never see the face.
Because aren't you involved in theater?
Sorry?
Aren't you involved in theater?
No, public speaking. I'd love to have been involved in theatre. I mean, I read Shakespeare standing on furniture, pretty much.
Okay.
Honestly, the best way to read Shakespeare is to go over it, understand it, then shout it at the wall. You know, or obviously only if it's
that'd be fun for my neighbors.
Oh, do it.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
That's the same thing. It's like seeing it play out in your head like a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that, and I can do that with scenes. But for some reason, when a book is trying to describe to me the face of a person, I can't piece it together. They'll say blue eyes, and I'll be like, man, they couldn't get less. Because I can't force the image to have blue eyes.
Yeah.
You know, I could answer it in a quiz, they have blue eyes, but I don't see it. I don't know why. It really drives me mad.
Interesting. I don't really either. I've always wanted to be like a portrait artist because I like drawing, but I really have trouble with faces.
Mhm.
So I have to have it right in front of me so that I can copy it down. I can't like come up with stuff on my own.
So
And I-
with you guys, is it like more like the landscape and everything, and then you just don't see the face, but you see like everything else?
I don't know if I don't know. I tend to picture actions a lot.
Okay.
Or like, yeah, if something's described really well, I can picture that really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to picture setting more than I picture anything else.
Yeah.
Like if it's got a strong sense of place and it is descriptive of like landscapes and stuff, like what you were saying, Stephanie, that tends to be what I visualize more than features, like what Tristan
Yeah.
was saying.
It's so interesting.
I linger
That's
over.
funny. So you're picturing actual people. I think that's why I have a hard time, like, because I don't usually like imagine what someone's face would look like, and I think it's because it's like I'm not good at just imagining a face I've never seen before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I've seen a movie adaptation of it, I'm gonna see that actress or actor who played that person. That's what I'm going to see in my head now. But before that, I didn't really.
Mhm.
So.
Now I do see Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy.
No, Matthew McFadden, because that's the one I
Yeah.
saw.
That's
first.
yeah.
David
trying to think if I
Suchet
knew
is
that was-
Poirot. Yeah.
Yeah, again, Poirot. Okay, so I love David Suchet. Suchet. But I don't see him as Poirot. I love him on TV. But
Yeah.
do you know how he gets to do the walk he does? You know, he's got a very particular walk.
Yeah,
Little wobble.
a wobble.
The wall.
Anyone that's into theatre, here's one for you. He spent a while walking around clenching a 2p piece between his buttocks.
Are you joking?
That's
Seriously?
amazing.
No. And then whenever he wants to do the walk, he squeezes them as tight as he can together and tries to keep them together, which alters his way of walking.
How funny.
Wow,
That is
it's
amazing.
so funny.
That
He
is
was
taking
well toned.
Oh, I guess so.
12
and so many
seasons. of
seasons. Yeah. That is
What a-
so funny.
that. I would never ask him to open a jar that I couldn't open.
I'm never gonna like see Poirot the same way again.
Me either. For better or for worse, I'm
Like
not.
next time I watch it, it's like I know what you're doing.
Oh my god, I love it.
Oh my goodness.
dedication.
Oh,
Well, that may be apocryphal, but I was told that by an actor. So,
that's really funny.
emotion and sense of something, but nothing is in clarity. I agree. Yeah, that's
The vibes.
a lot of mine is just, it's like the shades in Hades, you know? It's just this ephemeral something, but I get a deep sense of, yeah, it's almost like an atmosphere of people rather than,
Mhm.
and then I'll get very vivid still shots, which strangely, and this is going to sound so pretentious, still shots are nearly always oil paintings.
I love it.
Because I was hearing you talk about Google Docs, and I was thinking, I can't even open one. Right? You will. This pen here is really advanced for me.
It's really advanced. The technology.
That's amazing.
I got given a phone. I thought Lucy had given me a mirror. I was like,
This is a tangent, but in one of the North Korean defector memoirs that I read, North Koreans realized that North Korea's lies about America were lies because they were like, they make better ballpoint pens than North Korea does. Imagine what else they could do better.
Oh, that's interesting.
wow.
As simple as a ballpoint pen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was pretty interesting.
That is
Sorry,
interesting.
tangent over.
No, that I love that.
No, I love this tangent. It's really interesting.
That is fantastic, the thing about ballpoint pens.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Mhm.
It doesn't take K-drama. All it takes is ballpoint pens.
Well, it depends. Like, what do they actually have access to that they could compare what they have as opposed to what America has? There's probably not that many things that they can see both of because they have such limited access.
True.
So as far as like media and entertainment and stuff, how could they compare that? They don't have the access to do that.
Right.
That's mad.
Mm.
Has anyone read Tanazaki's In Praise of Shadows?
Mm-mm.
No, neither have I. No,
Nobody.
that's really interesting. It's about 80 pages long. And because I've been looking at some Japanese stuff lately, Japanese classics, and reading the Makioka sisters. But someone recommended I read In Praise of Shadows with it. And that was fascinating. You're talking about ballpoint pens. He goes on and on about the toilet. And I'm not trying to bring it up. I just realised I talked about Hercule Poirot's bottom a moment ago. I've got nothing about going down that route.
Taking a weird turn.
That's the tangent today.
Yeah. But he talks about, he says he wonders how things would have been formed by the Japanese had the Western culture not come in and imposed itself. Because obviously that's the same through all history. The dominant power always, its culture's adopted. But he talks about, I was in bed like 1 a.m, fascinated about reading about lavatories, because he says, he describes the house and he says the traditional house in Japan, not modern, going back a bit, he says there'd be a little corridor down to the toilet or the bathroom. And the bathroom was like a small cubicle with the toilet in it, which was wooden. It would have like slatted windows which you could open and look at the garden while you were sat there. And it was all dim. Everything was scrubbed very clean, but it was all dark. It was all wooden and stuff. And he said this was the place that poets frequently spoke about to get their inspiration while looking into the garden. I was like mesmerized by this. I weren't laughing because he then said, because the Western way of doing the toilet, he says, is just ugly. And he says, we actually make it white and polished and clean. He says, which actually just highlights the not so nice parts of what's going on. He says, but in Japan, traditionally, he says it was a place that was very calm and quiet and open air, apparently. So not necessarily a bad thing. It's in the early pages, that is, of In Praise of Shadows. I would highly recommend that.
And what was the name of the author?
Junichiro Tanazaki. That's my best Japanese accent.
Interesting.
Okay.
Huh.
I have the Makioka sisters. I've been meaning to get to that. I haven't yet.
Oh, it's
Story
a
of my life.
really
Own the book, but haven't read it yet.
really quiet book. So what kind of books do you guys like? I know obviously we probably read it broadly and eclectically, but if you were to sort of ballpark, like, was there anything that they share in common? I always find this fascinating, what appeals to people.
I find that books I connect to the most are books that have deep character studies where I connect to the person. Because if it's just like all action or like super plot heavy, if I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the plot and what happens to them. So I like words. I like slow, deep moving books with lots of like words of wisdom and beautiful descriptions. That's something that I found transcends genre. Like if it has those elements, I'm going to probably love it.
Yeah.
Makes me look at the world in a different way or think about it in a different way.
Yeah.
Again, doesn't matter what genre, just those kind of books. But I think I heavily gravitate toward fantasy and classics.
Okay.
Same.
I feel like both of those, the right books do such a good job for all of that.
Yeah.
And cozy mysteries.
Yeah.
For me, I think philosophy interests me most, but I don't actually read philosophy. I read other books that include philosophy. If there's a book with philosophy in it, and it's fiction, I find that interesting. But lately, I've been really just enjoying memoirs quite a lot. So yeah, I like hearing about people's way of thinking about life. I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
What about
interesting.
you?
Oh, I always sum up what I like as I like books in which nothing happens. I noticed this quite a while ago. I was like, man, all these books are people asking me for book recommendations. And I'm like, oh, a lot
What
of the
do you
books
like?
I wouldn't dare recommend
Yeah.
because nothing happens. It's not like nothing happens. So you're talking like look at Middlemarch, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a romance, is it? As in a sweeping story. It's not an epic going forward. It's not a thriller or tense. It's just life. Anna Karenina would fit into that ballpark more so than War and Peace.
Mm.
A book that I absolutely love is A Month in the Country. Now that book I would recommend.
I haven't read that yet.
It is amazing. Kenneth Branagh and Colin Firth did a film of it.
Oh,
Before-
really?
Before Colin Firth did Pride and Prejudice, as it
I
happens.
didn't know that.
But yeah, I would say on my channel, I have mentioned that book in more lists than any other.
Interesting.
Wow.
I'm writing it down.
1980, I think. But that is a gorgeous book. It's only 100 pages long as well. It's just perfectly symmetrical, everything about it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I do love adventures and all that kind of jazz. But yeah, so the Makioka sisters, like I can understand why some people would be like, oh, nothing's happening. But I don't mind that at all. The Makioka sisters, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think if you're just enjoying the characters in the world so much, if not that much happens, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you can stay in that book for forever.
Yeah.
I love this. I love that Dia says elevated mundanity.
Yes.
That's a beautiful way of saying that.
I like that.
And the
But she needs justice too.
Yeah.
Balancing. I love this too. I agree. Like when you have characters that like it doesn't make sense how they're acting, or it seems out of character to the character established, that it just kind of like pulls you out and you're not as interested in it anymore.
Yeah.
It's fun to hear what everyone likes to read, because I think sometimes we do tend to kind of talk about maybe what genres we like to read or something, but it's I think it was a while back that I decided I was going to sit down and like look at like my last however many 5-star books and be like, what do they all have in common? And that's when I was able to pinpoint what it is about a book that actually like sucks me in and has staying power with me.
Mm-hmm.
Motorcycles. You suddenly find out, no way.
They all have that.
Buzzword.
Good buzzword.
Oh yeah, Persuasion and the Hell's Angels.
Oh my god. Can you imagine? That'll be the next one. We've got Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Persuasion and Hell's Angels.
I love it.
Perfect.
Oh, Michelle's read Makioka sisters.
Oh yeah.
It's just I don't know what it is. It's what for me like a lot of great art's about it. Again, I love the majestic as well, hence Shakespeare. That is my ultimate top. But there's something about finding beauty in we live life as Shakespeare, as Sherlock Holmes says, we see but we don't observe.
Mm-hmm.
We spend most of our time going through the world and not actually noticing much. And I think that's what the quiet books do. They've taken something really mundane, but it's a moment of actually being there, being alive. And I'm like, okay, I love that. I do like you, Christy. I like I'm not so big on reading philosophy. I find fiction is philosophy's biggest critic, because instead of making it theoretically work, which anyone can do, you get someone like Dostoevsky who grabs it and forces a character to live it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, Michelle
in real life.
Is, yeah. Sorry.
That was already on my Goodreads, and I bet it's from a previous conversation with you.
Probably.
I really need to read it.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah, and sci-fi, I think is great for exploring humanity.
Mm-hmm. Horror is too, actually. Although I can't deal with most modern horror. It has to be like very light. But I like what horror does in that it explores human nature and social commentary in a similar way that sci-fi does. But oftentimes sci-fi is more palatable for me than horror.
There's that
I'm a wimp.
Never Whistle at Night anthology that I read
Mm.
last year. It had a little bit of like typical horror, but a lot of it was like human mundanity and making that horrific. And it was really interesting, and it's really stuck with me.
Yeah.
But it was also terrifying. But it made like the mundane terrifying, and it was
So now you're scared
very-
of the mundane.
right.
I'm adding it. I'm in
But
my
it was-
horror era.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, it's got a lot of trigger warnings. Be forewarned. But
That's fine.
there's so many, like almost every story I can remember so well because it was like, oh, I never thought about it that way.
Mm.
I know. You never think. Nobody really talks about how philosophical horror is, but it really is. Super interesting.
Yeah,
What
it's
about-
not like, I mean, I'm sure there are people who write horror books just for them to be scary,
Mhm.
but I don't think that's the typical horror book. I think most horror is exploring something.
Yeah. It's exploring people's deepest fears, which usually involves death. So you have to be philosophical about it. Like, there's no choice if you're dealing with death.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Whoa. Well, that took a dark
Yeah.
turn.
Flannery.
I
Flannery's horrific.
Joe, I've
Last
never read
story.
Flannery, and I've heard you guys talk about it before.
You
so
haven't?
Never.
Oh.
You
never.
have to read her.
Like all three of us are clutching our pearls right
Oh
now.
my
Yeah.
god.
Oh, man.
Really?
More
Okay,
peer
name
pressure,
the one I
Tristan.
should read. Between the three of you, name the one I should start
Everything
with.
that rises must converge.
Completely agree. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
her best short story collection. Everything that
I
Rises
haven't
Must
read that
Converge.
one, but I will second that with A Good Man is Hard to Find.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one.
Mhm.
Everything that rises must converge.
Let me see. Let me figure out. I have a favorite story too. Let me see which collection it's in.
It's in Everything That Rises Must Converge. I
Oh,
know
thank
it
you.
is.
You know, is it the one with the kid
Or-
with the peg leg?
You could just get the complete short stories,
Yeah, that's
Yes.
which is what I just bought because I haven't read all of them.
I'm trying to remember the name of it,
That might
Christine.
be useful because
go.
I'm thinking of going on a bit of an well, I've already got a current reading project, which is around the Greeks, but I was thinking of going into short stories afterwards.
Oh, if you want a really good modern, like, which it's mostly sci-fi, but Ken Liu's Paper Menagerie is one of the best short story collections I've ever read in my life.
I've been wanting to
It's
read that one.
So good. And it's not super long.
Okay.
All right,
need to read
Christy, is it The Lame Shall Enter First? Isn't
Yeah,
that your
that's
favorite?
the
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm pretty
That's
sure it
me.
was also my favorite in that collection, but I couldn't remember the title.
So good.
So Mitzi says, "Good country people."
Yes, that's really good. That one is in the A Good Man is Hard to Find collection. I just read that one last month, and it was one of my favorites in that collection.
We recommend her short stories.
Yes.
Her
I'll
novels.
have to get back to you on this then. I've jotted it all down and I've put Paper Menagerie in
Although-
as well.
Tristan, she also has a prayer journal that's really precious. She read it when she was only 21, and it's like, what? You were brilliant already.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Goodness.
Interesting.
Okay. Prayer journal.
Yes, Southern Gothic in general. It's great.
Yes,
I
that
actually
is
haven't
the-
read that one.
That's the one Faulkner I like. I'm
So
not
I
read
gave up on
everything.
Faulkner, so I
But
need to read that
that
one again.
short story is phenomenal.
Complete short stories.
And it's
Can't go wrong.
yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
And Dia also recommends Ken Leo. Paper
Yeah.
I need
Menagerie.
to read that.
I do too.
But I think
been wanting to read it
her
for
short stories,
years.
I think was only like 500 pages. It's not that bad.
Mm.
I say only 500 for
No
a
big deal.
complete collection. It's not too bad. So
You see, I've never been a massive short story person. I don't know why, but I think that's just an oversight on my part. It's like you mentioned memoirs. Memoirs for a long time, I just wouldn't read them because I didn't think they were interesting.
Mm.
Not because I'd read them and found them uninteresting. I just hadn't read them. And then I began to look at some and I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we did Testament of Youth in
Mhm.
World War November, man, that was good. That was
Yeah.
one of my favorite reads that year.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was the same with short stories for a really long time, Tristan. And I just realized that it wasn't that I didn't like short stories. I hadn't found someone short stories that worked for me.
Yeah.
I had to find the right person. And Flannery, I think, is one of the best, honestly.
Okay.
Because her short stories aren't so short. They're not like 5 pages. They're more like 30 to 50 pages. So there's
Okay.
enough character establishment to get me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Like the yellow room.
The yellow
I,
wallpaper.
The yellow
I
wallpaper.
do love the yellow wallpaper though, actually.
I
That
love
was an
that.
interesting one. But yeah, I just had to
Roald
find
Dahl?
people that worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roald Dahl was the short story. Switch Bitch, it was called. I don't like the
I didn't
name.
realize he did short stories.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
He wrote all the Tales of the Unexpected.
Interesting.
But yeah, that one, the Switch thingy, that was the first one I ever read and thought. I remember walking along the street home from college and I was reading it, and I got to the end and went, what? Literally, last line. And the last line made me go back through the whole story and reinterpret the whole story every
Oh,
single
wow.
time. Like, that is crazy.
I love stories like that.
That's the
Mhm.
nice thing about short stories is they're short enough that the author has gone over them like 250,000 times. So every word is there for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mitz has just mentioned Lamb to the Slaughter. That was great.
Mm.
Yes.
Oh, and Edgar Allan Poe. I guess we can't talk about short stories without Poe, the
and
king.
A Bad Business by Dostoevsky. I feel like that was a pretty
Yes.
good collection.
It was. The Crocodile is still one of my favorites. I think about it all the time.
Same.
It's a good one. It's actually quite funny.
The
Yeah.
Graveyard. What was the
Oh,
graveyard?
I did like the
I
Graveyard
love
one.
that.
Bobak. Bobak. That one was
Yes.
so good.
Which
Yeah.
that
Oh,
one
I'm
was
getting
in
rather
my
excited by this.
edition
Oh,
of White
yeah.
Knights, so I got to
Maurier.
reread it. It was so fun.
Du Maurier does great short stories. And so does Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury is
Is
amazing.
that Du Maurier story? Is that what the Hitchcock film was based off of?
Yes. Yes.
I can't do that
Oh.
film because they pecked out eyeballs and I don't do eyeballs.
You don't either? I can't
Mm.
deal with eyeballs. Oh my
Mm-mm.
word.
No.
Don't know what it is
There's
about
one
it.
scene in The Birds. I will never unsee it. It's
Oh,
scarred
yeah.
into my brain.
I
Yeah,
know
the
exactly
movie
which bit
is
you're
quite
talking about.
Yeah.
If you were to watch it back now, you'd realize it just looks like a scarecrow now.
I still couldn't unsee the eyeballs.
It's haunting.
Ugh.
Oh yeah.
This way.
Yes.
The
That
tale
person-
Ivan what is it,
The
Tiffany?
death
Or
of
Ivan
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 Ilyich.
Ilyich.
yeah, that
Ivan Ilyich. There's another great short story by Tolstoy called How Much Land Does a Man Need? That's actually a really good story.
Have you read that one yet, Penny? Penny's been reading a lot of Tolstoy short stories lately, so I don't know.
Chekhov has some good ones too.
He's known, he's thought of as the best, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hi,
This is
Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Wanting
Good
to
to
pick
see
up
you.
all of these.
That's fine to just be listening because we're
Yeah.
sort of.
We've been talking more than reading.
Yeah.
This is why I believe I'm not invited on a lot of these.
Vindication.
It's fun.
That's
do-
what we do, honestly. We go on tangents.
Mhm.
You fit right in.
It's
Oh,
always
I
a
do-
party.
I do reading sprints for my patrons like once a month on Zoom. And as the night progresses, we derail more and more and read less and less. It ends up being much more talking and reading, especially later at night.
Yeah.
Fun. Bye, Dia.
Hi, dear.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. And I've been finding everyone's links as well. So I've been signing up to everyone.
Love it.
So if I don't get around to reading a lot, that's because I'm checking everyone else's channels out.
It's a tough balance, quite honestly.
Really
I'm
hard.
either doing one or I'm doing the other. I don't have time for both a lot of times.
Oh, it's dreadful. And then, oh yeah, I've taken to. No, I won't go down that track. does anyone else like? Does you talk about sci-fi now? Sci-fi. This is going to be a bit of a challenge because you mentioned Paper Menagerie. It's sci-fi. Sci-fi is, like I said, amongst it's the genre that I particularly don't get drawn to. I don't know why. I love fantasy.
Yeah.
But I'm still. I want to get into it. But I don't mind dystopian.
I love dystopian.
Dystopian stresses me out so bad. Like the way Christy was with Emma, that's how I am with dystopian.
It's too recognizable.
Yeah, it's too real.
I mean, that's
But I do
fair.
love dystopian
I-
stuff.
There's so many good ones out there.
I made the mistake of reading 1984 in an election year, and I will not do that again. Let me just tell you. Do not
That
read
was a
dystopian
mistake.
in an election year. Do not.
1984 is brilliant. I love
It
it.
is. It is.
It's so good.
It
I
is.
threw that.
I don't think it's actually a great story, but it's great in that what Orwell
Yeah,
spots, what he sees.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really exciting.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just got so mad at it.
I mean, that's fair.
But it wasn't wrong. I just anyway.
And then Brave New World is sort of the other end of the spectrum.
I haven't read that one.
I haven't yet either. It's on my list to read fairly soon, within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
All right. Penny says she hasn't read the one that you mentioned, Tristan, but she liked What Men Live By.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and she recommends The Chrysalis.
Chrysalis by John Wyndham.
That sounds
Okay.
familiar.
I don't know anything about that.
John
You
Wyndham.
didn't know this,
I'm
Penny.
on like
but
my fourth
recommend-
post-it note now.
I know. Penny didn't realize it, but she was recommending this to everyone on the stream.
Yep. We're all interested.
Yes. I love it.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. I just read the premise. It sounds really interesting. All right.
Hey, it was published in 55. Could it count for your Patreon, Tiffany?
Probably, yeah.
Ooh,
I do classics and modern classics, so.
interesting.
Mhm. And it's only like 200 pages long, so it totally counts. So I tend to do shorter works, make it easier for people to get them
Snap.
read in a month.
Snap.
Right.
Except the current book we're doing is 500, but that was an accident.
What's the current one you're doing, Tristan?
Makioka Sisters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did a Japanese murder mystery last month. That was the
Ooh.
Honjin murders,
That sounds fun.
which is a locked room mystery. I love locked rooms. I love
You're
that.
so fun.
Yeah.
I really want to join your Patreon, Chris. I keep calling you Kristen. I'm sorry. I'm really tired today.
I've been called a lot worse.
That's the second time.
Now who's the bully? Who's naming people?
Well, thank goodness it's not me for once on this stream.
Time out.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember how you introduced this video, Tiffany. After knowing I didn't have a book. What are you reading, Tristan? You go first.
I know. That's why I'm saying at least
Yeah,
it
thanks
wasn't
very
me
much.
this time. It's been me every other time. I didn't even.
That's hilarious.
We're reading Kokoro next month. I'm doing it because I'm trying to practice like Japanese pronunciation. I know I'm nowhere near it, but it's part
Are you
of the
learning
process.
Japanese?
No, just we've been reading for 3 months, January to March. We're just looking at Japanese literature, 3 Japanese works, and Kokoro is next. Which that one is Soseki. So that's this one's like the great classic after The Tale of Genji. This is the great classic of Japanese literature. Apparently, I've started listening to it. I sometimes do that. I don't know about you. I'll sometimes listen to a book on audio as I'm going about. I don't pay over much attention, but I'm getting a feel for the whole thing, and then I go into a book. I don't
Oh,
always do that, but I'll sometimes do it.
interesting. Actually, Penny was talking about this on Sprints on my Patreon last
Yes.
night. She was talking about this book.
Mystery of the Yellow Room.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Have you read The Phantom of the Opera, Tristan?
Long time ago.
Okay. Did you like the Yellow Room one better than Phantom of the Opera?
Not quite. No.
Okay. Interesting.
But do you know, I'm having to very much go by feel here because it's been so long. I can actually remember more of the Yellow Room than Phantom. But I was took with the opera house in Phantom. I just like the setting. So talking about being able to visualize, I've got very distinct snippets of that. And also, I would love Gerard Butler's red suit.
Yes.
Yes.
Man, every time that comes on, I'm like, oh, look at it. I do not have the body to pull that off. But in my head, I would look amazing. What's that? Arthurian Reimaginings. Yes, Arthurian Reimaginings. I'm doing a bit on myths. That's been coming up in a bit of my research. Tell you what doesn't get enough love is fairy tales. I love the fairy tales. There's not really, we talk about children's books. There's not really that many children's books. Most of them are got something much deeper than that in. Like Treasure Island is one of my favorite books ever. And I love Peter Pan. I offended someone because love her. She comes along, she comes to my house, this friend of mine, and books everywhere. And she's like, oh, I don't do much reading, but I'd like to read a book. I'd like to read. She's got blonde hair as well. And I wasn't treating her like Ditsy Blonde or anything like that. She said, what should I read? So I handed her Peter Pan. She was really upset. She thought it was a kid's book. I was like, no, I love this book.
Oh,
absolutely love it. Has anyone read Peter Pan?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just think it's some of the best writing ever. It's so crisp.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's been years since I read it, but I remember I loved it.
It's honestly marvelous when you go back and read it. Every time I'm like, because you never lose the child, do you? The child is curious more than anything else and adventurous, and that's what makes an interesting person. And so Mimi's just said, don't we all look amazing in our heads? But yeah, the Peter Pan is just got all of the adventure and the excitement, and makes me want to go read it now. But I went and got the version with Robert Ingpen. He's the illustrator. Oh, he's amazing. I don't know. That takes me back to my childhood, I think. I never read it back then, but hang on, I'll see if I can see if I've got the pictures. You carry on.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland, I feel like is one I couldn't recommend to everyone because it's so odd.
It is.
So it's like,
really
I don't
weird.
know.
I love it though.
Yeah, I do too, but I can see some people, it's like, I would not recommend that to like this person specifically because I know it wouldn't mesh with their level of weird.
Yeah. I think Peter Pan can, I love Peter Pan, but I can also see why it would be off-putting to a lot of people because people's idea of Peter Pan is the Disney movie.
Yes.
And the actual Peter Pan book is very different, much darker, but I love it.
Yes.
Oh, Treasure Island is not a boy book. Treasure Island.
It's for everybody.
Treasure Island's amazing.
It is. I just reread it in Victober, and it was so fun. Especially with the context of the Muppets while you're reading it. I mean, you can't go. And Tim Curry,
Yeah, I get you. I've just never connected it.
Oh no, we were all because we all grew up with Muppet Treasure Island, I think. So it was like, while we were reading this, I was just envisioning Kermit or Tim Curry doing this, and you can't unsee it. It was just so good.
It's so funny.
I had never seen a film of Treasure Island. So my only experience of the book is the book.
Interesting.
Except, Jim Lad. That's everyone knows that bit. But the guy that came from, I still haven't seen that film either. Yeah. This is the Robert Ingpen version. Hang on.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
That is so gorgeous.
It is.
As you can see, I unfortunately couldn't restrain myself from repeatedly reading it. So
Right. I wish they had more illustrated books though, because pictures are just so great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they so are. But Robert Ingpen, right? So it's a bit boring without the jacket. But I'll just show you a few of these.
Oh man.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
That's one. And he does so many great pictures. That's the Indians. Look at this with Hook. Talk about taking you back to childhood.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I love that.
He's just amazing. And these are all the way through. There's a strange one of him sitting naked on a twiggy raft. I don't recall that bit.
Artistic license, I guess. It's uncomfortable, honestly.
Yes, I remember coming down thinking, what? But Treasure Island's the same. He does Treasure Island too.
Oh,
And that one, the treasure, man. With the skull and crossbones on the front. I don't know, you can't quite see it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But this one.
Oh
And what's
man.
the name of the illustrator again?
Robert Ingpen.
Okay.
But there is one picture in here which I remember just absolutely set me alight. I wish I could find it.
Mimi says between Robinson Crusoe and Treasure Island. I would say wholeheartedly Treasure Island because I didn't really enjoy Robinson Crusoe. I see its value.
I agree with that.
I didn't really enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think Treasure Island's more fun.
Mm-hmm. Definitely
Treasure
more
Island's definitely more fun.
Agreed.
God, could I pick between them? I love Robinson Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe is far more thoughtful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's got such a good message. Of course, him and this isn't a very little known thing. He and Jonathan Swift were basically arguing with each other with Robinson Crusoe and Gulliver's Travels.
Oh wow.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That's incredible.
Sorry, I'm the proverbial bore when it comes to illustrations in books.
I would love one like that for Moby Dick. I think that would be amazing.
That would be great.
With all the nautical and the sea landscape. I think that would be so pretty.
It would.
I
love illustrated classics. So I think more classics should be illustrated, just like Stephanie was saying.
Yeah.
It adds so much to it.
Well, especially like Dickens. I mean, for the caricatured characters, it's so fun.
Yes.
Definitely.
Ooh, yeah, for Dickens, that'd be fun.
Those have illustrations in them, and they're so fun.
I do love the original illustrations.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dickens characters are like made for TV, which is amazing because there wasn't TV yet.
TV was invented because of Dickens. No.
Yes,
but somebody was like, know someone like that in real life.
Oh yeah,
that's the weird thing about them.
Yeah,
you're always like, I know that person. You can't tell them because it's nearly always never flattering.
Oh yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, going back to Jane Austen, Sense and Sensibility is the same way we were talking about in my class. We were talking about Mrs. Jennings. I'm like, we all know a Mrs. Jennings. Every single one of us knows this meddlesome old lady who means well, but man, does she run the gossip mill.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
You talk about, we were talking about how we see characters and visualize and all that. I think that's one of the things about Dickens. They're the most vivid characters in my mind. I find them ever so easy to picture. Everything about them is easy to picture. except their face. I still don't really get much of a face.
Except for Mr.
Okay, nosy.
Parker.
Oh, Carker, yeah,
And
of
his
course.
incredibly white teeth.
Teeth.
I
It's
couldn't
like a
see his
skull.
eyes and his nose, but I could see his teeth.
Yeah,
In Dombey and Son.
yeah. I can see Tulkinghorn's nose, but I can't see the rest of it.
Yes.
And like,
Yeah.
I can see Carker's teeth. You can't
Yeah.
not because he goes on about it all the time.
It's
I always think of the Cheshire Cat.
Mhm.
That's what I think of with Carker.
That is very accurate. Yeah.
But his character.
But I just envisioned the Orbit commercial where it would always have the little like thing.
yeah.
Orbit gum. Yeah. Because he always talked about his teeth.
I love this. We do all know Mrs. Bennett's too.
Yes.
We're just so dramatic about everything.
I love it.
You had nightmares about it. I love it. I haven't read that one yet. I only have 3 Dickens left to go until I've read all of his novels, and that is one of the 3.
I enjoyed it. It was so good.
I'm reading it in December. It's coming.
Are there any other Dickens novels that are kind of like Bleak House, like written from a not from a character's perspective, but from like the narrator's perspective?
Maybe Our Mutual Friend. So that's kind of like all over the place. Kind of like Bleak House.
Yeah.
I will check that one out.
That's actually my favorite
Yeah.
Dickens.
All the ones I've read have been from the character's perspective.
I'm
Interesting.
Trying to think. Yeah, from a long angle lens, which is what I consider Bleak House to be.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal book, though.
I know.
I might say it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought I was gonna become a Dickens girly after reading it and loving it because I loved it so much. But then I didn't become one. But maybe our mutual friend. Maybe that things. Well, hopefully our mutual friend will change things.
That's the art of the anticlimax right there.
But then I didn't become one.
She's
I
tried.
Other
Not
things.
for lack of trying.
I really tried.
That's okay.
There's just so much to read as well. That's a difficult thing.
Yeah, they're long.
And I'm
Yeah.
so slow.
Wilkie Collins, he's worth reading.
Yes.
Mm.
I only thought of him because him and Dickens were best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just got hold of No Name.
I haven't read that one yet.
He's 4 biggies: a Woman in White, Moonstone. I've read those 2, and then there's No Name and Armandale.
Mhm.
I haven't read those 2.
Have you read Man and Wife?
Man in White.
Man and Wife.
Oh, Man and Wife. No, but I have it.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've read it twice, but it's about the premise of it doesn't sound that like exciting, but it's really good and it has a really, really good villain.
A suspense book has to be pretty good for you to enjoy it twice.
Yeah.
A lot of suspense books are like, I read it once.
One and done.
Yeah.
But I would put it up there with Woman in White. Both of those on
Really?
held up really
I
well.
love Woman in White. That's my favorite of his so far.
Yeah.
By a lot.
And I had never heard of Man and Wife until Kate mentioned it.
Mm.
And I picked it up and I read it in like 3 days. It was so good.
Teresa says the No Name's a bit boring in the middle.
Oh,
That's not surprising. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of classics sometimes.
yeah, there was a couple of chapters in Woman in White where I was thinking, okay, get on with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Penny. I'm sorry.
This sounds like I love that the talks about fog. And because the fog is basically the main character of the first chapter of Bleak House.
It is.
It's so vivid.
And I loved
I
it.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
such a mood. I think I even loved the first couple. I loved the first couple chapters of David Copperfield because there was a lot of like future narrator kind of hinting, foreshadowing about the future, and then that kind of dropped off. I think so. I like that I like the wider perspective rather than being inside one person's head.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least for Dickens.
Well, that's fair because they're huge books. So if you're not enjoying being in someone's head, that's going to be really hard to make it through hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
that's like I don't
It is
remember. There was
sometimes.
one fantasy book we were in somebody's head, and I hated the character, so I hated the book.
That makes
And
sense.
it wasn't a bad book. I just didn't like the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now that's really interesting. I've got a big thing about characters. Hang on, there's some good comments coming in.
There are.
Yeah.
Don Quixote is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
his endings pull it all together.
So well.
Truly. And he's one of those people where there's not like loose ends.
Mhm.
Like even the side characters that you're like, oh, are they that important? Like they're gonna come up again.
Yeah.
He's meticulous in that. I really like that.
Right.
He's a case in point. We were talking about this on my Patreon actually last month, because we're talking about murder mysteries tend to have 2D characters, but the 2D characters are a necessity. And we say 2D characters is a bad thing, but it's not. It's one of these things that becomes cliche. Like as soon as you make a rule in literature breaks it. There's nothing wrong with 2D characters. And the master of it was Dickens. But back then it was called the humor. It's basically a character that's distinguished by a single trait.
Right.
And he's got tons of them. But they're brilliant because they're the ones that he just moves like chess pieces so that you can navigate the world from the perspective of the protagonist. And it just makes it clear what they're going through. And I think it's very clever. But it's hard to, he does it so well. And he can make you laugh while you do it. And I understand why some people don't like Dickens. I do get it. But I just, will have nothing to do with them.
I'm a big Dickens fan girl.
Right. Like, we'll miss you, Christy.
Sorry, bye.
It's been nice knowing you.
I like how we automatically went for kicking Christy out instead of the outlier. Or not the out, sorry. But Tristan for being like, I won't have anything to do with them.
I would never kick anyone away. I love people like you all. I don't mean I like you all. Like you all come across as you would love everybody. So
Yeah.
Everybody I have an alter ego that is very mean. It says all the things that I would never say. Yeah, that's right, Mimi. Stock characters from the theatre. That's Dickens in a nutshell. He is pantomime, written large.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a comparison.
That's right.
I think maybe that's why I have a hard time with him, because he has such a large cast of like those 2D characters.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
But if you think of them as emotions or virtues or vices, and then like Mitzi says, he pulls them in, he has them circle around to set off the few central characters as he needs them to. And you're meant to, when you're reading Dickens, your Carker comes on, you're meant to go boo. That is what you do, you see various things and you're like, he's behind you.
Penny. We can make our own club, Penny.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. He is. No one changed the world like him through books.
I have not read this.
I have not.
No, never.
I will add that to my Post-it stack.
I bet she'd be a great letter writer.
Oh, for sure. Letters play such a prominent role in her books. So
I'm going to add that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole other area of literature which I've never got into, which I really mean to, unless I'm doing research. But it's like Samuel Johnson apparently is a masterful letter writer. I can believe it, but I don't know why I'm never inspired to pick up a packet of someone's letters.
Mm.
I don't know.
I have Miss Gaskell's letters because I've heard there's a lot of gossip about Charlotte Bronte, and I was like, well, I'm here for all the gossip,
The tea.
but I haven't started it yet. But it just sounds so fun.
I actually gotta go, guys. I'm so sorry to drop out so
I
suddenly.
know. As you
was
say that,
ridiculous.
I
That's
have.
okay. We gotta probably wrap up anyway. 2 whole whopping sprints, but that's okay. It was really fun to talk. I love it.
This is what makes Febregency fun.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
has been
So,
great.
yeah, our wrap up live will be on Stephanie's channel on March 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll be talking about what we read over Febregency. So be sure to join us for that. Thank you for coming today. It was a great conversation with all of you in the comments and lots of fun. So yeah, and you can pop over on my Discord if you want and chat about what you're reading over there too. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
And
Bye.
thank
Yeah,
you for
and
hosting,
Mitzi,
Tiffany.
Mitzi,